Absurd amount of features into this coffee table, and in this video we're finishing the tabletop and installing a surface mounted plate that can both heat and cool on command. Will it actually keep a drink ice cold? Can it reheat leftovers? No idea, but we're gonna find out.
Oh, shit. This has taken far longer than I wanted to.
In the previous video, we built the base, tackled power delivery, and added our custom fridge. If you missed that, go check it out, or just catch up on this short montage. Also, stick around to see how you can get a one-of-a-kind piece like this in your home. This video is sponsored by JLC CNC. First things first, I need to cut out a 1/4 inch chunk of acrylic to form the doors up. Okay, here's the plan. We have the flat sheet acrylic for the fridge door. We're gonna pop it in the oven, hopefully bend it around this jig I made. Using these clamps, a bunch of these clamps, we're gonna clamp it down and conform it to the fridge's shape. But it has these little slots, and like I said, the clamps will actually fit in there. And as it kind of melts down, we'll start clamping around the edges. So yeah, let's get to it. Now here I have a few extra pieces, but we'll circle back later for those other ones. The form is going to be made from MDF and a material called bendy ply. It's a super flexible, sometimes 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch plywood that has grain in the same direction, making it easy to form around. Using some simple brad nails is good enough for my purposes. And after I made this, I realized that I hit every single hole where my clamps are going to go with the brad nails. So I had to snip those off. Way to go, a-hole! Next up is the acrylic. So we'll put this in the oven, first peel it off, and then put in the oven at 275 for about 10 minutes. I was a little apprehensive for two things. I didn't want the MDF to off-gas, so I opted for a temperature of 275 degrees. Now, if I wanted it to conform better, I should have gone a little bit higher because the edges did not conform good enough. They kind of curled a little bit, as you can see. So I needed a model of my controller for the custom fridge. Normally I just design it in CAD, but with recent wrist strain issues, reverse engineering stuff like this takes time. I am not sponsored, but RevPoint sent me over their Metro X scanner. It's already helping me speed up my workflow and cut down screen time. Once it's scanned in, I can drop it into Fusion for measurements or bring it into Blender for rendering. If you're interested, there's an affiliate link in the description, and it helps support the channel and future builds. You'll definitely be seeing more of this tool around here. Okay, so everything had time to cool. Let's take off.
these dents from the clamps. I don't like those, so I'll get rid of those. Damn.
Missed it by that much.
Okay, so I recut the acrylic door and it turned out way better. It's not 100% perfect, but it conforms, and it actually, if you can hear this, closes the lid switch to turn off the lights. Okay, here is the spacer piece that will fit inside of the door, and this will form the air gap. There will be another piece of acrylic that will sandwich it against. Off camera, I made an 1/8 inch one and bent it up for the double wall. And I will super glue it here and here, and then I made silicone here and tack it down and clamp it up.
We'll just wait till this dries and move on to the next task. So for the remaining sheets of MDF, I have 2 pieces I need to cut out. I'll make the pockets, followed by the contours.
Okay, so I have the MDF cut as well as the acrylic with the oak top. We're gonna sand this down, put a coat of primer on all the pieces, and then spray paint it. I'm only gonna hit a few surfaces, like the top faces and the inner faces, so the LED light can glow better. Get it as flush as I can. I was having some serious OCD about the plywood acrylic thing, so I actually patched it up. I mean, that really doesn't matter because this is going to be painted white, so no light gets through it. I'm going to have 2 different lights. I'm going to have this nice diffused light as well as a light that points downward.
I've got a bunch of parts in thanks to my sponsor JLC CNC. They hooked me up with my heated and cooled plate for the top of the coffee table, which turned out awesome. JLC offers standard CNC, milling, turning, 3D printing, and a whole range of other manufacturing processes. You can even upload tapping documents, set custom surface finishes, and dial in the exact specs you need for your project. They also printed the condensation reservoir for the plate, along with some custom hardware I'll be using throughout this video and in the next part of the build. Ordering is super convenient too. All of their capabilities are rolled into one streamlined ordering platform, which makes managing multi-part projects like this way easier. Huge thanks to JLC for sponsoring this video. Now back to the build.
So after I painted this, there's a lot of gunk on here and machining marks. That's not going to allow the light to go through. So I'm going to clean it up and kind of try and polish it as good as I can. So when I put my, when I put the RGB strips up to it, I can demonstrate with my phone. It actually will shine. It will shine through all the way.
Now that I have all the pieces I need, I will make the large sandwich, if you will, of the base. Or I should say top, sorry. Okay, after everything is secured together, I'm noticing an issue where the MDF didn't line up exactly. Instead of sanding it down, I'm just gonna route it with the flush trim router, and that should do the trick. Next, I'm going to do a 3/8 inch rounded corner right here on the top and bottom of the MDF so the fabric can roll over nicely. It's going to look really nice. Okay, we have everything attached, and now we're gonna do two things. We're gonna wrap this in the nice fabric I have, and we'll do the lighting. We'll rig the lighting up and do a test to see if it actually looks good. The purpose of this sheet of paper is to mask off the acrylic adhesive spray that will bond the fabric so I don't have any overspray. Spent way too long finding the perfect fabric that matched our couch good enough and that allowed light through the way I wanted it. This whole process was super nerve-wracking, and I actually had to pull the entire piece of fabric off because I did not align the seam where I wanted it. If you can see in the view there, there's an indent, and that is where the dashboard will sit. So I don't care if there's a seam there; it would just be hidden. This went way better than I expected, and it looks amazing. I am very surprised, but pleased. As a continuation of the overtop theme, I am adding more addressable lights. So in total, I'll probably have 5 different zones of lighting. I'll have the ambient glow around the corners, I'll have the underglow, I'll have the fridge light, I'll have the charging lights, the heated and cooled plate lights, and the niche or shelf lights. So quite a bit of lighting here. So this is the underside pointing down towards the carpet, or the floor, I should say. And then this strip here will be for
glow around the edges here.
In the last video, GlideOpto sent me their WLED controller. After this is all rigged up, I'm going to test it with one of their other controllers. It's a great company. Support them if you can. It helps support me as well. Links are down in the description.
That's going to look amazing at nighttime.
Now that we've finished the MDF acrylic sandwich with the felt covering, we'll move on to the walnut reveal, and we'll use a piece of plywood and then edge band it with the walnut material with some mounting locations to actually mount the entire top down, as well as the reverse side for the Corian that will eventually go on top. For the edge banding, I'm still using that 3/4 inch edge banding I used for the slats in the previous video. After I sanded down the plywood sides and top, I'm going to use the natural one coat clear on the walnut, and it should bring out the pop. After it was all dry, I set it on top and got an even measurement so it's exactly centered, and just put some pan head screws in it and tied it together. This thing weighed a ton. I'm totally serious. It was beefy. The 3/4 inch MDF, acrylic, all that stuff just adds up. Now that this is all set up, we'll circle back to the fridge and finalize that.
I have this small 1/8 inch gasket material. It's a round material. I made a channel here, and I'm just going to kind of slip it in. Getting this double-walled fridge door was an absolute pain in the ass. My resin print was actually warped a bit. Probably didn't have much structure when it was printing, but we got the double wall ready to go. I'm gonna slot it in here and raise it up nice and even, and then apply this 3D printed cover piece to hide.
After this is on, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on this. I think I'm not in love with the frame. I'd rather it be more of a wood frame, just so the fridge kind of gets more invisible. Let me know your thoughts on this. I didn't really cover this, but this is actually a thing that goes inside of the fridge to move the air. Right here you're seeing the first version of it, and I actually made a larger version because I wasn't happy with the airflow.
So after a pretty long test, I'm finally down to somewhat of a temperature. I'm looking for 50 to 55 degrees. I actually sealed up the door a little bit better. I'm gonna put foam in the back and remove this sealing. Also, I'm going to insulate the back, the aluminum block, and actually upgrade the thermal contact pad. And those three things should get me down to 50 degrees. I'm hoping so, but I'm really excited. This has taken far longer than I wanted to.
Now for probably the most important part of this job. I was really apprehensive of this because I had to do a double side cutting operation and I wanted to get it as accurate as possible. I used a tiny little end mill to make that little lightning bolt. These are indicator pins so I can flip the piece over and get an accurate measurement. I'm going to use a flush trim router to knock these tabs off. Normally I wouldn't use this because I have a vacuum table and I can hold down stuff like this pretty well, but I wanted to be safe, so I added some in.
So these edges are really sharp, so I'm gonna put a chamfer, a very small chamfer on both top and bottom surfaces.
So you might be wondering what these foil pads are for. When I was doing testing, I saw that the light was going through the corian. You see that little recess there is where an LED strip will sit. And I thought this would be a good idea to reflect the light, but in the end, it kind of bit me in the ass because the wireless charging did not work through the aluminum. Obviously, that makes sense if you think about it, but I just totally forgot about it. Now I'm going to fill the void of the charging pad up so the glow will actually go to the very top of the corian countertop. I'm adding a tiny bit of white pigment in there. I should have added more. I really wanted it to blend into the corian, but I was afraid that the light wouldn't show through as much as I wanted. And then I popped it into a vacuum chamber just to get all the bubbles out. Previous to this, you saw me putting that tape on the screws. That's just so the epoxy won't go into the threads and make it so I can't remove the screws. I'm going to work my way up from 220 to 400 and then 600 wet sanding as well. If you're into this kind of content, definitely check out my Patreon. I've got tons of behind the scenes updates, exclusive projects, and more stuff you won't see on YouTube. I just used a random kitchen and bath polish to get the shine I wanted.
Alright, next thing we're going to do is put the LED lights around the circular regions here. I added some black silicone because I was getting some light leaks underneath. After we install those, we'll go ahead and add these diffusion pucks that I cut. And this will help guide the light to the center and then through to the underside, well, the top side. We'll glue them up and move on.
Now for this part, the surface finish was great. I just wanted to try adding a radial brush, so I used my Scotch-Brite pad on my drill press to get the effect. It was a little off-center, but hey, what can you do?
Okay, here's a nerve-wracking part. I'm going to place the heated and cooled plate in the recess and then put this silicone protector around it that will serve as a glowing edge. Not only does it make the edge glow, but it also protects the corian from melting when the heated and cooled plate is at a high enough temperature. I've been toying around with the idea of doing commission work, building over-the-top, over-engineered pieces or custom home decor. If that's something you'd be interested, let me know down in the comments. I'll put together a landing page so we can connect and maybe build something crazy together. Okay, here's the issue right now. This Peltier device that will be for the heated and cooled mug needs to flip positive and negative. This H-bridge that I installed last video can do that, but I realized after installing it, I didn't make sure to write down the wire colors. So right now, I have these wires and I have no idea where they go. Like and subscribe. This thing works really nicely. So when I flip this switch under here, this should get cold. Ah! Shit! Wrong side. Works. Here I am attaching the Peltier unit that will get hot or cold depending on the voltage, and I'm connecting it to the water-cooled block. I have a 3D printed bracket in there temporarily as I wait for the aluminum bracket, but hopefully it should be all right. Then I go ahead and mount the reservoir for the condensation buildup that may occur, and then mount the LEDs to the Wago connectors. This condensation tube actually goes to the refrigerator. Off camera, I added a plug so that any condensation buildup can just drain right into the bottom of the fridge. I have 3 of these super fast 15-watt wireless chargers. I'm going to connect them to a PD module that requests 12 volts to get the full power out of these things. For this setup, I'm using Home Assistant that's going to be added onto a Raspberry Pi. I will actually be able to do custom coding the way I set it up for WLED integration and some other functions I have. It's all tied to a 8-inch touchscreen, and in the next video I will make a enclosure, a kind of like a cloth enclosure that will fit right onto the coffee table. So I have everything pre-wired. I have some of the functions ready to go. All I need to do is do some quick testing, some additional coding, and put the top on the coffee table. And that's it. This project is getting closer and closer to becoming a reality. If you're interested, I'll be sharing an in-depth look over on my Patreon, including behind-the-scenes testing of both the fridge and the heated and cooled plate.
As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.